But then, like, also in the middle of the raid of, like, the woman with her child, he, like, stops the dude and, like, kind of lets them go. And because, like, get out. Basically, we're not here for this. Get away.
I really enjoy that because it shows right off the bat that, that is not the Vikings that we know
Exactly.
of. Hey YouTube, welcome back to our channel. My name is Elena.
And I'm Bjorn.
And this is Vikings React, where we take a look at some of your favorite Viking shows and discuss their historical accuracies.
Today we're looking at the new trailer for Assassin's Creed. This just came out, like, today for when we're filming, brand new. I'm conflicted going into this. I've been, like, trying not to watch anything that I've been seeing pop up everywhere for it, because everybody's been freaking out about it, good and bad. I've played some of the Assassin's Creed games, not all of them, because they kind of got stale for me, but then I also heard there was, like, a big revitalization of the games afterwards, like after I stopped playing. So I heard they, like, got good again. They've always had this really interesting concept for, like, history of kind of like interjecting their own, like, little subtle things here and there to, like, rewrite history, but in the along the same strands to, like, make sure the history followed the course it's supposed to. It's an interesting concept, without a doubt. It's a really cool style of game and, like, how they tell a story. Just through today, I've also seen, like, they've been collaborating with the Jorvik Viking Museum and Katiran, who's an amazing musician, and also Dr. Jackson Crawford, which is spectacular. So, like, I have really high hopes for that, but also I'm scared to hope. I have a feeling all of that collaboration is going to come more in the content of the game and not necessarily what we see in the trailer. But I'm very interested, to say the least.
Sort of storyline perspective. Yeah, the thing is that, because I remember you telling me earlier today that Dr. Jackson Crawford was sort of in collaboration with the game makers, but...
which is huge.
It's absolutely incredible because he is an incredible historian. He knows a lot about the Viking Age.
Wealth of knowledge.
But where he comes from is he studies the writings. He studies the stories, essentially. So he knows the sagas, he knows the mythology, he's, translated basically all of it himself. But he doesn't specifically study the Viking Age from the perspective of...
an archaeologist.
Right. Yeah. So I think you may be right. From the story perspective, him being attached to this game probably means that the storyline is going to be pretty dang accurate, or as accurate as they allow it to be. But from the visual perspective, there remains a question.
Yeah, I still have hopes a little bit for some of the outfitting, things like that, because somebody who I follow in passing has said that they were working at Jorvik Viking Museum, and the team in Ubisoft had actually come in to, like, interview people in the museum about Vikings. So I don't know if that was just about the history, about, like, the clothing and, like, the living aspect. I have no idea. So we'll find out, I suppose.
They are heartless.
Okay.
It's a lot of furs.
Heartless barbarians.
So I'm just gonna say this right now. It's not anything Viking related, so I'm just gonna, like, get it out of my system. The graphics look incredible.
They look so good.
The game looks beautiful, and I am thinking that the gameplay itself is probably not gonna be as gorgeous, but...
You'd be surprised, I think.
We'll see.
I'll show you the most recent one that I have. I'll show you that one, because it's not like that quality, of course, but it's still pretty good.
No, I know, and that's mainly because of, like, the real game engine.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's going to be a give and take, but I mean, game engines these days are also getting way better.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
we're using them for photoreal renderings now.
That is true.
They murder and kill blindly. They scar the lands of England. Lands they will never defend, never love. The time has come. They will understand.
Alfred.
That was so cool with Alfred saying, that they were raiders and pillagers who...
It was like all the stereotypes that we always hear of the Vikings,
Yeah.
like the dirty, brute barbarians who cared nothing for, like, humanity or life or, like, the innocence.
And then they show the scenes with, like, the kids playing and, like, the village and,
Yeah, like the mock battles and the armored dad, like, oh no, you got me. But then, like, also in the middle of the raid of, like, the woman with her child, he, like, stops the dude and, like, kind of lets them go. And because, like, get out. Basically, we're not here for this. Get away.
I really enjoy that because it shows right off the bat that, that is not the Vikings that we know.
Exactly. Like, of course, they were raiders and they were warriors and things like that, obviously. But there was also another side of them. They weren't just this constant brute heathen that you typically see kind of thing.
Yeah, it's basically Vikings 101, and I love the way that they depicted that. I love the way that they showed that.
Yeah, like the atmosphere in the game was awesome.
So, I kind of want to play this.
So I'm gonna pre-order it. I'm like seeing. I'm remembering why I got into Assassin's Creed in the first place. Like I'm seeing so many of like the little like cutaway like combo moves and everything of like the counters and like the little like attacks and stuff that like got me into it. That was like so like groundbreaking kind of when it first came out. I want to like play all the games again now. To quickly go over the thing, that was fairly good. I saw a lot of people like complaining that like nothing about it was historical and like all kind of stuff like that. I think like the setting, like the towns, the villages, and things like that looked pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I thought that looked pretty solid from like the quick glances that we got of it. The armor is always going to be the armor. The amounts of fur everywhere.
Yeah.
Like the main character, I thought that was like Uhtred's best friend growing up. Like what was it, Ragnar Ragnarsson?
Oh yeah, actually
he looked
yes.
like Ragnar Ragnarsson.
I was trying to place
like,
him, but yeah,
with
you're
the
right.
beard and the hair and even like the fur and the arm,
Yeah.
like it looked like Ragnar Ragnarsson. It's so funny to me.
But yeah, they definitely just, kind of copy pasted from the shows a little bit.
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. They definitely drew inspiration from that. Like there was the one cutaway of like the woman who was doing like the ceremonial like blood thing with like the antlered headdress and we just have no information on that. So that's taking liberties here and there. But I thought in general looked fine.
Yeah, in general it
from
looked
what
pretty
I saw.
good.
Yeah.
The dude that he was fighting.
Yeah, that was
What?
like there's that's one thing I wanted to bring up in terms of like the what are you doing? It's like some
Roman.
Yeah, some like Anglo-Saxon Roman legionary, like remnants of like the Roman occupation of England from like 100 AD. Like, yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Like he even had the helmet and everything. Like, But then with that Roman helmet, he had the Anglo-Saxon faceplate like from Sutton Hoo, like from the Vendel period.
Yeah.
And
then like the red cape, which was also from
the red cape, and then like the
Romans.
scale mail and stuff also, and it's like what.
His entire thing didn't make sense, and I'm glad that he was killed. Maybe we won't get to see him in the game.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe they just got it out of the way, out of their system, and we won't have to see him. But yeah, that part was the one that didn't make sense.
I'm glad he died.
Yeah, me too.
Some of the close-ups on like the weapons and the armor and things like that, not so much. There was the one shot when he was, with the dude with the axe who had died, his friend, and like that axe was nothing. Historical. It was massive and clunky and had that weird like cap to it and stuff, which it was almost like somebody took like a pommel cap from like a later period sword and just put it on top of an axe because they could. And obviously like a lot of like the leather extensions for the armor wasn't quite there. Like if people want to do leather armor, then I don't know, just like do something that doesn't look like a bunch of like straps everywhere.
Yeah, I mean the thing about leather armor is that we know nothing of it. You know, whether they had it or not, we've never found it, so we have to kind of run on the assumption that they probably didn't have it, but at the same time they could have. We just don't know.
And that's the problem with like reenactment and like living history and archaeology and things like that, because like leather finds don't survive well in graves. Only under like ideal situations do they really survive to the modern day. So even if they did have leather armor, which hypothetically would make total sense because they had a plentiful amount of leather, and they could easily have gone through the steps to make hardened leather armor and things like that. So even if they did have it, which is very plausible, we have no way of knowing how to depict it because we have nothing to base that on. So like anything is going to be a modern interpretation of something that might have existed.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's always going to be hit and miss, and it's always going to be guess material until we find something substantial, which we might not ever. Yeah. Honestly.
I mean, the only allusion to leather armor that we have is, in the saga of Ragnar Lothbrok.
With the hairy breeches.
Yeah, with the hairy breeches, because those were, kind of leather. It was like tanned, hardened leather that he wore. That was furry.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. So it was, he got the by name, or he got the name Lothbrok, meaning hairy breeches, because of the pant that he wore specifically. So they weren't, typical linen or wool that you normally do. They were leather, and not only were they leather, they were hide pants. Like they still had the fur on them.
Yeah. So in Ragnar Saga, the story goes that he wanted to win the hand in marriage of a Swedish king's daughter. And in order to do that, he had to kill 2 venomous snakes that guarded her residence. And he put on these hairy breeches, these pants that were hide. And he actually jumped into an ice-cold lake to try and shore up the material so that it would be tougher. That way, if the snakes bit him, in the legs at least, he wouldn't die. They wouldn't be able to get through the leather to get to his legs, essentially. And he did it, and he won her heart doing that, and he married her, and she was actually the one that birthed, Sigurd Snake in the Eye, Ivar the Boneless. She was their mother. But then also, there's a story of Ragnar's death where he was thrown into the snake pit, and for a while there, the snakes were biting, but he wasn't dying until
because of his hairy breeches. So they had to pull him back out and take those pants off of him and then throw him back in because he wasn't dying like he was supposed to.
Yep, and then he died after that.
Yep.
So that's kind of one of the only examples, really, if not the only example that we have of leather being used as quote-unquote armor. Yeah,
there's very little else. I think there's one example of a gift being given to a Norwegian king where it literally describes it as a couple shirts or a couple suits of armor of reindeer hide or something, really minute, something like that. And then we also have one grave find of clothing being made out of leather, which was a seal skin that was found a few years ago. It was a seal skin cloak or pants or something. We're not really sure. So leather fragments are really rare to find in like good quality being able to say anything like that specifically.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because for all we know, they could have had all the leather armor in the world.
Yeah, for all we know, it could have been plentiful.
Yeah, but we just don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So it's tough, and that's always dicey. It's always a dicey area when you're depicting a historical time period, whether it's for entertainment or for education. It's always tread lightly, you know. And it is best to err on the side of caution as well, at least in my opinion. So it's always better to kind of assume that they didn't have it, as opposed to depicting it wrong.
Right.
And then just kind of explain that. So anyway, so as per usual, you will see their, exaggerations or their own interpretations with the leather armor and the furs and things like that. But like the few shots that we got of them like in their home with like the clothing and the buildings and everything, that seemed great.
That was really nice.
Yeah, I don't know what everybody's like freaking out about. We'll have to watch it again, I guess, a couple times.
They were probably just freaking out about the Roman dude.
Probably about the Roman dude. Probably about the Roman dude in the leather armor.
Yeah, there was that, but like to your point, in like the little scenes of the village and stuff like that, like we saw some like nice kirtles and some nice dresses and just your typical like simplistic type of
and like
get-ups.
Yeah, and then also just like the Scandinavian like expanse.
Oh, the hills.
Beautiful.
Gosh.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. The landscaping was amazing on that.
Yeah. That looked gorgeous. The ships looked really good.
Yeah, the combat sequences are great. I love the little like slow motion cutaways of those classic Assassin's Creed battle sequences. Like you will learn it. You will learn as we go. But that is like the little isolation when he like did like the 2 strikes with the axe or like the spear up through them, like where it kind of slowed down and like paused almost like 300 style.
I was gonna say that's very 300.
It's so iconic of like combat in those games. So like watching those just made me have all these flashbacks of like, oh, I need to play these games again. Oh, I clearly need to devote more time into this beautiful thing. But no, I'm really excited for that. That's gonna be great.
I kind of want to play it.
Yeah, I also kind of want you to play it, and I also want to play it. This will be great. This is gonna be really great. I'm so excited for these video games. We need to figure out how to do it.
We need to figure that out.
Yeah, but I'm excited, and if that's what we're going off of, I'm even more excited for the storyline, and for how they like go about it. Because also, with Alfred being there and signing the treaties and things like that, I assume it's Alfred. I think I saw his name scribbled there. Mm-hmm. This is also the head of like the Great Heathen Army or something.
I was gonna say this is probably a Heathen Army type deal.
Great setting for it, honestly. Yeah, no, I can't wait for this. This is gonna be so good.
This is gonna be awesome.
This is gonna be great. What a great day to be a Viking. What a great time to be a Viking.
There's so much stuff out there.
There really is.
And
this is great.
More just keeps coming out, and we're just trying to keep up with it all.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of our future videos. And we will see you in the next one.